Out of all the state agencies, I feel like the Department of Environmental Conservation may be the one that reaches most into our daily lives here in the North Country. Yes, I know the DOT handles roads and we drive on roads all the time, but the DEC handles trailheads and hunting licenses, burn bans and campgrounds, water quality and climate change. And we do a lot of outdoor stuff here in the North Country. So it matters when the DEC has a new leader. A conversation with the Interim Commish on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from the St. Lawrence County Community Development Program, now accepting applications for the Head Start program to prepare children ages 3 to 5 for school. Online at slccdp.org/head-start.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Tuesday, May 14th. First up. At an event yesterday, Governor Kathy Hochul unveiled the design for a memorial to the 10 black people killed at a supermarket in Buffalo 2 years ago. They were victims of a racially motivated mass shooting. Karen DeWitt reports for the New York Public News Network.
The shooter, who was 18 at the time of the massacre, pleaded guilty to murder, domestic terrorism, and hate crimes. He's serving life in prison without the possibility of parole. The incident spurred changes to New York's gun laws, including banning most semi-automatic weapon sales to people younger than 21 and outlawing some types of body armor. New York also strengthened its red flag laws, which allow a judge to temporarily confiscate weapons from someone who might be a danger to themselves or others. But Monday's event was about the victims. The memorial design consists of 10 interconnected pillars, each bearing the name of someone killed in the mass shooting. Governor Hochul, who was born and raised in Buffalo, says it's a powerful statement that evokes strong emotions.
It just hit me hard, and I really want this to be a place that people will come to. It is their place, but others will learn about the terrorism that lurks among us. This was domestic terrorism. Raw domestic terrorism.
Garnell Whitfield is a former Buffalo Fire Department commissioner whose mother, Ruth Whitfield, was the oldest victim of the shooting. She died at the age of 86.
No matter what this looks like, no matter what it is, let's be very clear that it's not going to bring my mother back. It's not going to take the place of our loved ones. It's not going to undo all of the damage that's been done in our community generationally. But it does represent hope for a better day. It does represent the planting of a seed within this community that will hopefully bear fruit, that future generations will not have to go through what we went through, what our loved ones went through.
The memorial eventually is to include a new building for community events. New York State is contributing $5 million. The city of Buffalo is giving $1 million. But they say more money will be needed before they can break ground on the project. A newly appointed commission will soon embark on a year-long fundraising campaign. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt for the New York Public News Network.
The main road through downtown Saranac Lake is now closed to all through traffic. Village construction workers started ripping up the road today in a project that's expected to last until the end of June. Emily Russell reports.
I'm standing here in downtown Saranac Lake, right across from the town hall, and there's now a huge hole in the middle of Main Street. It's the start of a construction project that's going to close a portion of Main Street for about a month and a half. And so what they're going to do is rip up all of the asphalt, and there are also layers of brick along Main Street that date back more than a century. And they are going to go in and they're going to update the water and sewer lines while they've got access down there. And then they're also going to repave this portion of Main Street. Pedestrians are still allowed in downtown Saranac Lake while the road is closed, and shops will remain open. But again, this part of Main Street in Saranac Lake will be expected to be closed for about a month and a half. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio in downtown Saranac Lake.
The Department of Environmental Conservation plays a key role in all of our outdoor lives, but especially in the Adirondacks. It manages 4.5 million acres of public land in the park. It oversees forest rangers, and it sets policies like the parking permit system at the Adirondack Mountain Reserve. Its longtime leader, Basil Sagos, retired earlier this year. The DEC's new interim leader, Sean Mahar, spoke with Emily Russell when he was in Saranac Lake last week.
I wonder if there was a dream project or a land conservation goal that your former boss, Basil Sagos, had in the Adirondacks that you are now taking on.
Protecting land is on my agenda because it is essential to what we're doing to protect our watersheds and water resources, but really protect the habitats that so many of our species depend upon. And this place in the Adirondacks is globally significant, right? And we can't lose sight of that. And our ability to continue our land preservation agenda is critical, but also it's critical to invest in our communities because you need that balance between environmental protection and community development. We need our park economies here to thrive because these are the destinations that people go to experience the wonderful opportunities here in the Adirondacks. So we want to always make sure that we're, focusing on land preservation, focusing on communities, creating attractive destinations, and really balancing that protection agenda that we have.
There's been a proposal to reduce the number of years for pensions for forest rangers and ECO officers from 25 years down to 20 years. It has support in the Senate and Assembly, but it's been vetoed by the governor and in the past as well. What are your thoughts on that proposal?
I think what we're focused on is obviously we have a new Ranger Academy about to start here soon. We have an Environmental Conservation Police Officer Academy that's starting this summer as well. We're recruiting the next generation of our Rangers and ECO force, and what we're continuing to do with our leadership is really look at what is needed for recruitment and retention. And the 20-year bill is obviously something that is being talked about a lot. I know it was talked about in the budget this year. We're going to continue to work with the administration to see how that shook out in budget negotiations and where we go in the future. But again, we're evaluating a number of different things on the recruitment side to make sure that our positions are competitive in these fields and are really helping us attract the forces that we need to continue to provide the great work that we do throughout the park.
So this year's Forest Ranger Academy has 13 people in it, and it's my understanding that the educational requirements have been altered. So does the DEC think it has a problem recruiting and retaining forest rangers?
That is something that we're evaluating in this class this year. Obviously, 13 is, we're going to get an influx of folks coming in who are going to help replenish our ranks from those that we've lost to retirement and attrition. And we're going to continue to work directly with the leadership force to evaluate that. And when I say the leadership force, it really is, our forest rangers, but it's also working with civil service and to evaluate, the class that came in, really those who didn't make the cut or those that turned away. How do we, look at our various requirements and making it, again, competitive and attractive for people to take these careers. So that's something we're going to evaluate as we watch this class grow in this academy and then look at out years what we have to do next to continue to be competitive.
Do you come up to the Adirondacks often?
Not often enough, Emily. I love this place, though. It's like, I don't know. I grew up in Saratoga County. I'm an Adirondack boy. I consider myself. I've been to scout camp up here. I've spent a lot of time up here. I try and make it up at least 2 to 3 times a year, backpacking, finding a lean-to somewhere and just jumping in a lake. It's the best place. And this job is an amazing opportunity to hopefully spend some more time up here.
Do you have any interest in the full-time job, becoming commissioner of the DEC?
Right now, my focus is really just continuing to manage this team for success in the short term while the administration really evaluates as part of this nationwide search where they want to go. Basil was obviously a legacy for the department. 8.5 years was a long time, longest serving commissioner. And I want to make sure that the things that, we built together continue. And we've really created a great dynamic within this agency. But we're also an agency in transition because of the pandemic and the retirement losses we've seen a massive turnover in our staff, and this is an incredible opportunity to really reshape the future of DEC right now, and really the new folks that we're hiring, bring them into the agency and really introduce them to, the careers that kept people here for 20, 30, 40 years, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to do that in the future. So that's really where my focus is right now, and really continuing the great work and really implementing the core work that we have on our plate right now.
That's the DEC's interim commissioner, Sean Mahar, speaking with our Adirondack reporter, Emily Russell, in Saranac Lake last week. Mahar took over for Basil Sagos last month. We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Mark Corey of Watertown. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.